Hello, my name is Julian Yi. Today is February 15th, 2023, and I will be doing my presentation on the prokaryotic and eukaryotic interactions between the oral, gut, and immune systems. So moving on, we're going to do a quick overview of prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells. So prokaryotic cells are typically non-membrane bound nucleus and organelles. They usually don't have any organelles as well. They are part of the bacteria and archaea kingdoms. They have a nucleoid instead. Eukaryotic cells are multicellular. They are part of the animal, plant, fungi, and protista kingdom. They have a present nucleus, membrane-bound organelles, and they typically have organelles present. So here I'll be showing the oral interaction. So on the left-hand side, we have the anatomy of the oral cavity, but what our main focus will be is the gingiva, which is the gum, and the teeth that are encased by it. So we know that the oral cavity is the second most diverse microbiome of the body, and it's primarily composed of bacteria such as Streptococcus mutans, Piriformis gingivalis, Staphylococcus, and Lactobacillus. So the main one we'll be looking at today is the Streptococcus mutans, which is one of the main components of the microbiota, and as well as the cause of plaque. So here is an image of the Streptococcus mutant that causes plaque. It is a typical prokaryotic cell. It has a cell wall, capsule, cell membrane, nucleoid, pili, flagella, as well as ribosomes. So the scale is about 0.5 to 1 micrometers, and this is what causes plaque. Now, the next thing I will be showing you is the eukaryotic stratified squamous epithelial cells, which is the gum tissue layering. And so here's a typical eukaryotic cell. It has a nucleus, smooth and rough ER, cell membrane, lysosomes, mitochondria, and this is what our gums will be made of. And lastly, I will show the eukaryotic layering of the gingiva in a more shown. So we have the lamina propria, which is the base. We have a basement membrane, as well as the stratified squamous epithelial cells. So here with the plaque and the gingiva interactions, can lead to periodontal disease, which is an inflammation of the oral tissue, which can cause a breakdown of structure and the tooth itself. So here's an image of the two. So here we'll see the the prokaryotic cell starting to form links with the eukaryotic gingival tissue, and these pili will be the cause of that. So with these linkages to the eukaryotic cell, it can cause redness, it can cause inflammation, and it can begin to break down the eukaryotic cell itself. So over time, this bacteria began to build up on top of the squamous layer, and continue this inflammation and reddening. And with that being said, the initiating progress of the disease will become an excessive response to this bacteria and continue to decay the tooth structure. It'll cause periodontal ligament issues, as well as alveolar bone loss and gingival breakdown. So here on the top right hand side, I have a little bit more of an in-depth picture, or a close-up picture. And here we see on the right hand side, the tissue destruction. So we see the bacteria beginning to rapidly build on the tooth structure as well as the gingival tissue. And as you can see, the tooth structure is beginning to decay, as well as the structural alveolar bone, as well as periodontal ligaments, is beginning to decay as well. So furthermore, the plaque bacteria is also known to cause immune responses to the body. So one thing that we see on the bottom right hand side is a very unclean oral cavity, and with this unclean oral cavity, the imbalance causes rheumatoid arthritis. So according to an article I found, it has a 65% chance of being more likely in those with not as clean oral cavities, versus the clean oral cavities had about a 28% chance of getting the arthritis. So this just shows us that there's an interaction between the innate immunity defense system of the eukaryotic cells, and it quickly produces an inflammatory response to the prokaryotic bacteria pathogens that build up over time. And as this inflammatory response occurs, the arthritis becomes more prominent. And as we see in this image, we see the oral cavity and the beginnings on the right hand of arthritis. Overall, the body's homeostasis can be broken down due to unhealthy bacteria in the oral cavity as well as immune systems, and it is necessary to evaluate to make sure that we are continually taking care of our oral health. So lastly, I wanted to look into the gut interactions and how the oral cavity can affect the gut. So the anatomy of the gut typically composes of the mouth, the pharynx, the esophagus, stomach, small intestine, large intestine, rectum, and anus. And here along the gut, typically this is what it is composed of, the columnar epithelial layer. It is typically about 20 micrometers tall and then 5 to 10 micrometers wide. So here on the top, we see these spikes. These are the microvilli, which help with absorption and surface area. Then we have the columnars themselves. We have a nucleus in the middle and then a basement membrane. So as I was researching, a major study done in 2019 showed that the oral cavity microbiome can have an effect on the gut microbiome. And this in turn can cause conditions such as IBS, known as irritable bowel syndrome. So that typically can be caused by the Streptococcus mutans, which are typically found in the mouth, known as plaque, and it has higher counts in people that have IBS, and as well as the lactobacilli, and a new one called P. gingivalis. So this one is about 50 to 250 micrometers tall. It is a typical prokaryotic cell. It has a capsule, cell wall, cell membrane, ribosomes, nucleoid pili, as well as flagella. And these three bacteria are seen to really touch the gut walls and really cause inflammation all around. The pili would then connect to the eukaryotic cell or the columnar wall and really cause irritation throughout the whole gut, causing digestional problems. So here we see that the oral cavity can definitely, and most definitely does, have an effect on the gut microbiota as well as the gut itself. And in order to take care of it, we need to really manage our oral health as well as what we eat and really look into how it can prevent IBS or gut interactions. And thank you very much. That is the end of my presentation. And lastly, here's my works cited page. Thank you.